Hey, what you reading for?
January is over already. That happened fast. I had so many things I was supposed to do in January that I didn't do. I kept saying, I'll just do it tomorrow, right? Turns out January has no tomorrows. So I did not get much done that I was supposed to get done. I did, however, read 9 books. Right? Books are great when you procrastinate. It's true because it rhymes. I started off the year reading All the Fiends of Hell by Adam Nevill, which was really good. It's a book that is set to come out on April 2nd, and Adam Nevill fans are going to be very happy. I will make my video review, and I'll post it on publication day. That makes sense. I did tease, or I have been teasing, an interview with Adam Nevill for this channel. That is done. We had a great, fascinating conversation. He's such a kind and generous and interesting guy to talk to. So I'm very happy about that. I just need to edit the footage. I literally have hours of recorded conversations with him. So I need to go through them and just, I'm going to break it down into a few different videos. But I need to just go through them and group things according to theme. We talked about his new book coming out, All the Fiends of Hell. Talked about his other books and his writing process and how he creates his horror. We talked about the publishing industry, the changes it's gone through over the decades and the current trends, the current state of things. He showed me art that he's collected, that his work has inspired. And he gave me book recommendations too. So I have a lot of things to share with you from those conversations. I'll get them edited, or I'll get some of it edited, and I'll post at least a part of it or one excerpt from it later next week. Yeah. But that was a great way to start off the year. Also, because that was one of my goals for 2024, to read more current releases. 2023, I spent mostly backlog reading, going through my TBR. So I didn't read that many new releases, and I'm hoping to recalibrate that balance for 2024. So it was off to a good start. I also read Necroscope by Brian Lumley. It's a horror, military horror, very popular, sparked a series of like 10 books. I talked about that in a recently uploaded video, 1986, The Year in Horror, which is a 10-part video series that I need to finish. And I still have quite a few more books to read for that. In fact, I also read in January Live Girls by Garton. It's a horror book from 1987 for that video series. And what did I think of Live Girls? I didn't think a lot of good things. Yeah, it was pretty average. Just a standard vampire story, nothing really inventive, creative. It wasn't scary. I didn't love it. But I will finish reading for 1987 for that iteration of the horror retrospective. Finish next week and post a few days thereafter. I've only been doing BookTube for about 7 months. Started back last June, and I've learned a few things. And I've learned them by making mistakes. So one mistake I made is committing to this 1980s, this 10-part video series of horror from the 1980s. A few months ago, I did this retrospective of horror from the 1970s, which was really fun. I read a bunch of horror books from the 70s. I did some research about the decade, what was going on there, came up with some opinions, and made some videos that did very well, and I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the books I read for them as well. And I thought, it was only a 3-part series, and I thought, well, why don't I continue this into the 1980s, right? But since the 70s retrospective went by so fast, I figured the 80s, I'll take my time. Instead of making a 3-part series, why don't I break the decade into 10 parts, go year to year and read 3 books from each year? That'll be great, right? But I didn't count on a few things. I didn't count on basic arithmetic, right? There are 10 years in a decade, 3 books a year, that's 10, that's 30 books. So I committed to reading 30 books and making 10 videos. Turns out that's a lot. I also didn't count on the fact that there's such a huge drop-off in quality from a horror from the 1970s, which is my favorite decade of horror, and the quality just plummets in the 1980s. I was expecting a dip. I wasn't expecting a plummet of this magnitude. And speaking of plummets, the interest in this 10-part video series, it started off great. Like the videos for 1980 and 81 and 82, those videos did very well. And 83, not so much. And then 84, 85, 86. So interest has waned, we'll say. But I did say I would do the 10-part series, and I do what I say I will do. But I found that I've been choosing my books based on the kinds of videos I want to make, and the kind of videos I want to make, I'm basing that on how successful previous videos have been. I don't think I like where this is heading. A few months ago, I put out a video of the most disturbing books I've ever read. I created 5 categories of disturbing books and selected 2 titles for each category, and that video did very well. So I said, well, let me do that again then, right? So I went through lists of disturbing books, or what people claim are disturbing books, read reviews and such, and so I started to read these books from the list. I figured I'll make more disturbing books videos. And the first one I made after that was from Murakami, I think. It's called Piercing. And that was good. I liked that. And that video did very well too. So I said, okay, more of that, right? So earlier in January, I read The Blind Owl by Sadegh Hedayat. Yeah, that didn't work on me at all. But I did read some scholarly articles about the book, which cast it in a new light, which made the whole overall experience quite interesting. But the book itself didn't do much for me. But since I wanted to make a disturbing books video, I made a video about my experience with that book. Not as positive a video that I would like to make. So I figured I'll try again, right? More disturbing books. I go back to the list, I look at reviews, and I read 2 more after that. I read Devil's Spawn by Charles Birkin, which is a short story collection, and it is dull and mundane. It's like creepypastas from the 1930s. It's not disturbing at all. It's not very interesting. Very disappointing. So I read a novella by Sara Gran called Come Closer, and that was not good. Wow. At least for me, I didn't enjoy it. A lot of people did, though. And you ever read like a book that's so bad, where you think it's so bad it makes you angry? And that's how I felt, I was angry at the reviewers I read. They're telling me it's great and it's dark and it's disturbing and scary. It's none of those things. Who are these reviewers? Why are they lying to me? I've never done anything to them. So I was not happy with that. So I will not be making another disturbing books video soon. I'm going to wait until I read a disturbing book that I actually like. I think next up is going to be Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright. I've been hearing good things about it. See? Although I've been hearing good things about Come Closer too, but I need to stop hearing things. Yeah. We'll see. But what I need to do is not pay attention to how well my videos are doing, and not selecting books based on videos I want to make, but instead just read what I want to read and then make videos based on that. That was the original intent of the channel, and I have strayed quite far from that. And I'm hoping that I will correct that very soon. Also, in 2024, I wanted to stretch and read in genres that I'm not accustomed to reading in. So earlier in January, I read a romance book. It's called Normal People by Sally Rooney. It was not bad. It was not great either, but it was not bad. That video didn't do well either. That's okay. It's okay. I do not want my only romance experience to be so-so. So I'm going to read more romance later. I'm going to give it another go, right? I think I'll read, I can't remember his name. Beaumont? That can't be it. About a Canadian hockey player falls in love with another hockey player. H.E. Beaumont? Is that a person, a writer? Or Bauer? It's another author who's on my radar. Anyway, I'm going to read some more romance. Not immediately, probably not in February, maybe March, April. I'm going to give that genre a second chance, as it were. But on the positive side, I had my first 5-star read of the year. That was great, and it was The Night of the Hunter by Grubb, and that was amazing. And I expected it to be amazing because I had read another book of his called Ancient Lights a few months ago, which I really liked. He is an author I want to explore this year. In fact, he only wrote 10 books, and I want to read them all this year. So that is another goal of mine. And it was off to a great start. That video didn't do well, The Night of the Hunter, my review for that. It's a book from 1953, so who cares, right? But I'm not going to let that deter me. I am going to read every one of his books this year and make a video for each one. Whether those videos do well or not, I don't care. I probably won't. His second book is quite thick, a Civil War historical fiction thing. Doesn't really intrigue me, but I'm going to read it just because it's from him. Probably won't do that in February. I'll probably wait until March. In January, I also read Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. And that book had been on my TBR for years and years and years and years and years. I was so scared to read it, because I had read Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro. And I loved that book. It's a 5-star read for me. I thought it was amazing. And I figured there's no way Never Let Me Go can be as good, right? Well, one of two things can happen. I can read Never Let Me Go. It's not going to be as good as Remains of the Day, and I'll be a little bit disappointed. I'll be let down. Or I can read Never Let Me Go, and it is as good as Remains of the Day, and then immediately I will have to read every book that Ishiguro has put out. So if I read the book, then immediately I've got 10 or 12 books added to my TBR. Or I read the book and I'm disappointed. So I was terrified to read this book because neither of those outcomes appeals to me. But back in January, mid-January, I had a moment of bravery and I just got the book and read it. But I set my expectations accordingly. I said, well, it can't be as good as Never Let Me Go. It's probably not going to. It's not going to be as good as Remains of the Day. Just lower the expectations and read the book and just enjoy it for what it is. And that's exactly what I did. I read it for what it is and I enjoyed it. It's a very good book. And it's not as good as, or I didn't like it as much as Remains of the Day, but I did like it a lot. And I did not add every book he's ever written onto my TBR. So I'm safe on that front as well. When I started the channel, I thought I was going to make videos about what I read. And at that time, last summer, I was basically reading maybe 70% literary fiction, 30% horror, 60% literary fiction, 40% horror, something like that. So I figured that's what the channel would reflect. And I started putting out videos, and what I noticed rather early on was that my videos about literary fiction didn't do so well, but my videos about horror did fairly well. So I said, oh, okay, well then I'll just make more videos about horror then, which means I'll read more horror. So by the end of the year, I was reading like 90% horror, 10% literary fiction, something like that. But the problem is I'm not having a very high success rate with the books I'm choosing to read. And part of that is due to this 1980s retrospective that I've committed to. So this means that I'm making videos about books I don't really love, and my videos are getting kind of negative, I think. It's a little bit too much negativity on this channel that I'd like to correct. So going forward, I need to recalibrate. I need to, instead of reading books because of the videos I think that will do well, I think I will make videos based on books I think will do well for me. I need to readjust. February is going to be a busy month for me. I don't have money. It turns out I have to work. What? Great. Do you have sympathy for me? I have to work. Yeah, I need to make some money, which means I will not be able to read as much as I have been lately. I have a cat to feed, so I gotta make some money somehow. So I've taken on a few writing projects. Do you have any experience with the books or authors I talked about in this video? Have you read Davis Grubb? You really should. He's amazing. Thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next video.